What's up, Piper friends? Welcome to Tim's School of Pipes, and class is in session. Today, we are continuing our series called Leaf Studies. In episode 1, we looked at Perique. In episode 2, we looked at Latakia. And in episode 3, we looked at Dark-Fired Kentucky. I will pin that playlist to the end screen so that you can go check out the previous episodes. Today, we are going to look at Cavendish. So in this series, what we are doing is we are looking at the history, the curing process, the tin note, and the flavor profile of individual blending tobaccos so that when we're smoking our favorite tobacco blends, we can better discern the flavor notes within that blend and determine exactly where those flavor notes are coming from. But before we get into this, I have another channel. It is a knife and EDC channel. I feature knives almost exclusively. The name of that channel is Tim's School of Fish. I am not going to link it in the description or anything like that. Just search Tim's School of Fish if you are into knives. I encourage you to go check out that channel. I have daily content. I feature all kind of knives, slip joint knives, fixed blade knives, modern folders, brand new knives that literally just dropped, and even vintage knives. I have a live stream where I feature different knife designers and different knife makers. That's every week on Tuesday night. So if you're into knives, if you're into sharp things, I encourage you to go check out Tim's School of Fish and give me a subscription. I would really appreciate it. So first things first, Cavendish is not a type of tobacco. Cavendish is a process. It is a curing process. They use both Virginia tobaccos to make Cavendish, and they also use burley to make Cavendish. Now, typically in Europe and in England, they're going to use Virginias to make Cavendish, and in the United States, burley tobacco is more common to make Cavendish. But you can make Cavendish out of any type of tobacco. You can use Perique, you can use Kentucky, you can use Latakia. It doesn't really matter what type of tobacco is used because, like I said, Cavendishing is a process. So let's talk about the history of Cavendish first. And I've got a couple notes here so I don't get the names wrong. So forgive me if I'm looking at my notes. So Cavendish can be traced back to the late 16th century, the late 1500s. Admiral Sir Richard Grenville and Sir Thomas Cavendish visited the Virginia colony in what's now the United States, and then they were presented with some tobacco, some Virginia tobacco, to take back to the English crown as a gift. On the way back, Cavendish infused it with either rum or sugar water. We're not sure exactly which, to try to preserve the tobacco and keep it from drying out. So he soaked the tobacco in rum or sugar water, he rolled it up tightly and wrapped it tight with twine, and then later cut it into coins and smoked it. And the sailors were astonished that the flavor had mellowed and it was improved, it was milder. So that's where the original Cavendish process came from. So to make Cavendish tobacco, the tobacco is subjected to heat and steam and pressure, and it draws the natural sugars out of the tobacco. Once those sugars are drawn out of the tobacco, it is pressed to allow the flavors to mellow and marry. So it's similar to the stoving process that is used with Virginia tobaccos. Stoving involves steam and heat and pressure, but not to the point of completely blackening the leaf. Now, when you Cavendish a tobacco, it removes a lot of the natural tobacco flavor and characters. It pretty much makes it almost flavorless. Jeremy Reeves, the head blender at Cornell and Deal, kind of likens it to flour in a gumbo roux. You don't have to add the flour, but when you don't add the flour, all the flavors in the roux are just independent of one another. And when you add the flour, it marries those flavors together and sort of joins them together. And so that's how Cavendish can be used in a blend. It helps to bring all the different flavor components of a tobacco together and sort of marry those flavors and kind of round it out and take away the rough edges that a blend might have. So it can be used that way. The other reason that that's a good thing, that Cavendishing causes a tobacco to lose its natural characteristics and flavor, is because it becomes a good carrier to add different flavors to a tobacco. So Cavendish is a lot of times used to add a casing or a topping to add flavor to tobacco blends. Because when you do that, you're simply adding the flavor to the tobacco blend, but you're not adding a new tobacco taste or different tobacco notes or different tobacco characteristics. It's simply just a flavorless carrier tobacco for the different flavors. Now, a common misconception is that if a blend has Cavendish, then it is automatically an aromatic, right? And that is not the case at all. Like I just said, Cavendish is a lot of times used in blends to simply mellow it out and sort of bring the whole blend together. For example, Scottish blends. A Scottish blend is simply just a take on an English blend, which includes Latakia, Oriental, Virginia, and then when you add a little Cavendish, it becomes a Scottish blend rather than an English blend. But that Cavendish doesn't impart any flavor. It's just added in to sort of mellow that English blend out. So if you're doing any home blending, like I'm doing, and it's a little rough around the edges, I encourage you to add a little bit of Cavendish and see if that doesn't help bring those flavors together and sort of round out those rough edges for you. The other thing that Cavendish does is it produces a lot of voluminous smoke.
Voluminous? That's a good word right there, man. Voluminous.
And that's not just to look cool, but what this smoke does is it carries the flavors of the other tobacco and it gives a nice full palate mouthfeel, and it really allows those tobacco flavors to touch all parts of your palate. So it's very good at helping to bring flavor notes from different tobaccos together. So I like to refer to Cavendish as the Swiss Army knife of blending tobaccos, because you can use it for several different things in a tobacco blend. It's very versatile. You can add flavor to it. You can use it to add just a touch of sweetness. You can use it to help round out a blend. You can use it to mellow a blend. So it's very versatile. So what I have here is some Green River Black Cavendish. This is a burley black Cavendish. Burley is already a dark leaf, but once it goes through the Cavendish process, it is very dark. It's almost black like Latakia. So the 10 note here is a little bit of earthiness, but I get kind of a dark chocolate, cocoa, slightly sugary, not like milk chocolate at all. It doesn't smell sweet. Very much cocoa with a little bit of earthiness and a little sourness. Wonderful tin note. It smells phenomenal. So let's pack some of this in a bowl. Let's go outside and smoke it and talk about the flavor profile. All right, so as you can see, Cavendish, especially this black Cavendish, produces thick, billowy smoke. So for that reason, it can be added to a blend to help produce some more smoke, because people do want a nice big cloud of smoke when they're smoking their blends. But more importantly than that, when you add it to a blend, it has this particular sort of mouthfeel that envelops the entire palate and helps to sort of bring all of those flavors to the palate at the same time, which helps to marry the flavors. As far as flavor notes, there's not much going on here. You get a very, very mild brown sugary sweetness and a particular mouthfeel. To me, Cavendish has a certain kind of mouthfeel that's different than other tobaccos. But with regard to flavor, there's really no flavor to speak of. Like I said, just a very, very mild sugary sweetness, but not enough that if you add it to a particular blend, it's going to necessarily make that blend sweet. By any means, it's not going to do that. But the fact that it's flavorless is the reason that it's used for toppings. It's put in aromatic blends because it becomes a carrier for that particular flavor topping. Now, it's not something that I would smoke on its own regularly, like Dark Fired Kentucky or Perique or Latakia. I could smoke any of those regularly by themselves because I really enjoy all of them. There's just not much going on. However, that does not mean that it doesn't serve a very important purpose in our favorite blends. So there you go, boys and girls. That is Cavendish. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Leaf Studies. Like I said, I will pin the playlist to the end screen. I encourage you to go back and watch the other episodes of Leaf Studies. We're just going to keep going, and we're going to go through all of the different blending components until we finish this series. Also, don't forget, I've got another channel called Tim's School of Fish. It is a knife channel. I have a giveaway going on right now. That giveaway is going to be open until this coming weekend, when I am going to draw and announce a winner. All you have to do is go to the video on Tim's School of Fish channel. Go to the video called 3K subscriber giveaway round 8 and enter on that video. All you have to do to win is be subscribed to the channel, like that video, leave a comment on that video, and live in the continental United States. As always, I appreciate you for watching. Give me a thumbs up, drop me a comment down in the comment section, and if you're not subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. Just click my logo right over there. That's it for this episode of Tim's School Pipes, boys and girls. Class dismissed.